I seen this morning.
Ooh, I'm watching the stream right now.
How long was the intro? Oh, Edwards! Edwards! He's gonna go! He's gonna stick to 25-10! Edwards! Oh my God!
He called!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first episode of the College Recharge. My two fellow co-hosts, I don't know where it is on your guys' screen, but you know, we got MG.
You actually pointed the right way, and now just point down. Point down.
And Hendon.
Down, not straight, motherfucker.
Down. My bad. He's right here.
Bruh.
Yeah, so we got Hendon and MG, and it's gonna be an interesting, little show we got going on here, because this is obviously the first episode, and we got a couple interesting topics, so it's gonna be fun. How are you guys doing though?
I'm doing great. Hey, bro,
Good,
I'm
man.
prime and ready to go for the day.
Yeah, man. How are you doing, MG?
Doing good, man. Can't complain. Ready to talk some college football, man. We're in the offseason, so, should be fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh.
Yeah, what's good with this dude, man? Don't even be bothered by how he acts, man. This is how he acts 24/7. Anyway, though, should we get into our first, topic of the day?
Sure.
Let's go.
We're going to start off with how we feel about our team. So the Badgers, it's stupid SEC school over there, and then Penn State right down there. About how we feel about the offseason and how we feel as of right now before spring games, because I believe only one happened so far, and before the season starts, how we feel heading into it. So we're going to start off with the school that did the best out of all of ours. We're doing Auburn. No, I'm joking. They did the worst. We're starting off with Penn State.
I was just about to say, Auburn. No. So Penn State this season is interesting because they're gonna lose some guys, but they're gonna keep some of the guys. It's kind of like a mixture, but they're gonna gain some players as well. So Penn State, to take a lot of people back to last offseason, had a really good recruitment class. Got a 5-star quarterback in last offseason and 2 really good running backs. So this year, all 3 of those guys will move to starters. Quarterback Drew Allar, running backs Nick Singleton, and Katron Allen are going to be really the vocal point of this offense. They're kind of moving on from the Sean Clifford era. Jahan Dotson, Parker Washington, Brenton Strange, PJ Mustipher, Jair Brown, all guys who were very loved over the last 4 or 5 years at Penn State will leave. So this is new for James Franklin. This going into the spring game this year, you're going to have a lot of younger, college terms, younger guys, a lot of, new faces here in Penn State, a lot of new leadership in this locker room. So when you look at Penn State, you really just look at this is a transition era. This is really a transition era. How we kind of transition from the, McSorley, Saquon Barkley type of era. Now we're transitioning from the Jahan Dotson, Sean Clifford, and Parker Washington era. So of the offense. So, and then defensively, we're going to lose Joey Porter Jr., we're going to lose Jair Brown, and we're going to lose PJ Mustipher, 3 important guys to the defense, especially Jair Brown and Joey Porter being 2 of the best secondary players in this year's draft class, and then PJ Mustipher, who's, a mid-round level defensive tackle. So Penn State's defense is going to be very young. The linebacking core, who was, the weak point last year, actually might be a little bit better this year with a year's experience. The secondary, it's still good. I still like the Penn State secondary. Obviously, not going to be as good as previous years, but we still got some guys back there. So overall, the outlook on Penn State is that this is going to be a younger team, a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores going to be playing a lot for Penn State this year. But it's so much upside on this team, especially in the run game. this year. The secondary has some younger upside too, so a lot of upside this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm excited
But
personally
we still got
myself.
some guys like this.
I'm excited to watch Penn State. Penn State is probably one of the teams I have at top of the Big Ten right now, because
Yeah.
Michigan they're gaining some players back, so I probably have them and Michigan at top of the West right now. I don't know about Ohio State because they did lose a lot of pieces as well, which intrigues me to say the less with
I
Ohio
mean,
State.
oh, come on, man. I mean, they really lost CJ and
Najigba
In
J-
the Jigma.
and
but
Paris.
they still got
And you forget their star tackle as well. Like, that offense is going to take a
Jones.
digression next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, bro. They still got Marvin Harrison. He gonna take a huge leap this year, like even bigger than what he did last year, which is kind of crazy because he was amazing last year, but this year I expect him to win the Bolitnikoff. Like, there's no reason why he should.
Oh, there's no reason he should not win the Bolitnikoff Award this year.
No reason. Like, but to get to Penn State, I mean, I got a lot of hope for them this year in terms of just taking the next leap. I mean, I think Drew Aller, I think he's a good quarterback. I mean, Nick Singleton, I'm a big fan of his, man. He's the next great Penn State running back, and then Parker Washington. I expect big things from him this year, because I know he's going to the draft next year. But he one of those players that kind of just was a vocal point of that offense. And like you said, the Sean Clifford days are over in Penn State. And it was it was a good way to go out if you're him. Play really, really well in your last game. And that kind of helped his like draft stock a little bit, but I expect a lot of good things from you guys this year, for Penn State. But I mean, hey, bro, I hope you do good things at Penn State, man. You deserve it.
Only thing that I feel like could hold Penn State back is coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I think their secondary, they they got that one dude they had last year.
Galen King.
That's going to take a hit, of course, like losing two big pieces. But
yeah, Porter, obviously losing him is gonna suck. But I like the dude that they had last year. You said King. I think that secondary is probably like the strong point of that defense. Obviously losing Porter's gonna suck and whatnot, but like I don't know. I like that defense, bro. It's pretty good. They held their own against Ohio State for a good portion of that game until the defense kind of got tired at the end, and then Ohio started just clicking.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Bro, why just Clifford Blazers so good?
Nobody cares. Literally nobody cares, bro.
This dude here, bro. This dude here, man.
Hey, bro,
Let's do it here, bro.
Every time I take a bite, it just feels like I'm biting into heaven.
You're gonna need a sponsor with that company.
Dude, if I do that, if that happens, I will cry, bro. I will cry if I get a sponsorship from Quick Trip. That's the dream, bro.
Yeah, bro.
He said that's the dream.
Bro, they got better lunch food than McDonald's, and I'm serious.
I never had it, so I can't comment on that.
I've never had it, like you said, MJ. I can't comment, but I feel like that's some cap. That's you.
Hey, all I do is speak facts, bro. Just like how I'm about to speak facts about why Wisconsin's going to have a great year this year. Great segue. Thank you, Manny, for that. So let's go into Wisconsin now, who's going to be the Big Ten West winners. And will face Penn State in the Big Ten Championship. And knowing that history loves to repeat itself, I'm going to get heartbroken again. So let's get right on into it. Wisconsin has had a huge culture change, a huge change of scenery. Paul Chris, Jim Leonard, and that coaching staff is now gone. They have been fired. So they got okay. Pretend this is Paul Chris and that coaching staff. This is what happened, okay? Boom! Oh shit!
What is going on over here? What is he trying to? What is he trying to do?
I don't know what he.
I kicked the Squirtle and like saying they got the boot.
Okay, I guess.
So they got kicked out the door. Then you got in to replace them, Luke Fickle, who Nas and Manny had heard nonstop about stuff from me. Like, we saw what he did with Cincinnati, turned that football program around, took them to the playoffs, not this past one, but the one before. Got their ass kicked by Alabama, though, but it's Bama. Like, with that offense, you're going to get killed. But it produced some good players who were in the NFL from that team, like Kobe Bryant, Sauce Gardner, and Desmond Ridder, just to name a few. So he took a Cincinnati team that seemed like just, they're not even ACC, like non-Power 5 school, if I believe, right?
Yes.
Into the college football playoffs. Shocking. If you told me that year at the beginning of the year Cincinnati would be in the playoffs, I would call you crazy. But shocking a lot of the college football world, dominating their teams until Alabama, and just showing why they deserve to be in there that year. And then you got him bringing his coordinators. I love the move. I love bringing Phil Lingo from North Carolina. We saw what he did with Drake May this year. We saw how he made that North Carolina offense look good with Drake May. We saw his development as well. So I'm excited for that because in the transfer portal, they brought in Tanner Mordecai and Nick Evers.
Yeah.
And then they also recruited for 2023's class, not this year's, or 2024, my bad, not 2023. 2024, they brought in a 4-star quarterback from Texas, Marby McTool. Trevor Lawrence 2.0 is what I'm calling him. You'll see it because of the hair. That's why I'm saying that. Who shows lots. Who I was watching some film. I got to do more film watching on him, of course, because I've been all watching film on Tanner Mordecai and Nick Evers because that's this year. But from my watch, I liked what I saw. He has a good arm strength, and that's something we really have not seen in a minute from Wisconsin. But just overall, that offense is changing. It's not going from the one, like, run, pass, run offense. It's going to be more pass, run offense. You have the balance. To help out these quarterbacks, they brought in, I'm going to say the biggest one for last, Bryson Gray from OSU, who had 560 yards. They brought in as well Will Pauling, Quincy Brott, and then the star of them all, C.J. Williams, are just the receivers they brought in to help out the quarterbacks. So I'm excited because Ches Malucci, who is the number 2 behind Allen, came back for his last year of eligibility here for Wisconsin, so I'm excited about that. You also got Braylon Allen. So this offense is going to look completely different, and I am excited. One thing I do want to say, though, is I think the defense is going to take a step back because of losing a great defensive coordinator in Jim Leonard. That sucks. So I think the defense will take a step back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, I expect big things from you guys too. There's no reason why you guys should not win the West this year.
Yeah.
I think with you guys, it's about quarterback and like what your situation is going into the the year and whatnot. I think just based off of what I've seen from Nick Evers and some clips, I like what I see, but I also think Tanner Mordecai is a good player. I just only critique that people are gonna have is just conference change. You're going to the Big Ten. This isn't where he was at with SMU. It's a different ball game in the Big Ten. Face different types of defenses. You'll face different looks and whatnot. But I think with you guys, it's just quarterback, and I feel like this is gonna help out Braylon Allen because
I agree.
he had what 1,200 yards last year, and
1,200 yards when facing 9-man boxes, meaning
it,
the whole defense is defensive line for people who did not realize you, of course, got corners, linebackers, but they stacked the box more than you see in NFL.
yeah, because they knew Graham Mertz wasn't, about that life when it comes to throwing.
I don't blame Mertz for his failures. Like, I think Mertz is going to do good in Florida. I think he's going to have a better year than he has ever had in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I think the thing that held Mertz back was the old coaching staff under Chris. Don't get me wrong. Like, Mertz showed a lot of potential. We saw the Illinois game where he came out slaying it, even had Patrick Mahomes tweeting about him. Like, we saw that, and we saw some of those signs throughout the seasons as well. But we also saw inconsistency as well. The thing is, this coaching staff never was known to producing a quarterback. They produced zero, and I mean zero good caliber NFL quarterbacks. The last one was Russell Wilson, and that was under a whole different coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, like I said, there's no reason for you guys not to do good this year.
See, Wisconsin, I think they made the necessary changes they needed to. They made a quarterback change and they revamped the entire coaching staff. I think that is very important for this team, who was one show wonder in Braylon Allen last season. So in the Big Ten West, it's not that great right now, to be honest.
No.
But Wisconsin will have some competition because remember, right? Minnesota is still a rival, right? And they're still going to be competitive, right? I know they don't have some of the guys that made them successful, but we got to still put into account Minnesota. And then Cade McNamara did just get traded to Iowa, so Iowa
transferred to Iowa, not traded.
Yeah, transfer. I'm sorry, this is not NFL, but I think Iowa. Their quarterback situation has just been very, very bad lately. Spencer Petras was not the guy. He just simple as that. He was just not the guy. He was garbage. So Wisconsin will have only Nebraska too, right? They got Thompson, Casey Thompson, right, looking to come back at quarterback again.
And they got a new coaching staff in Matt Rule, who is known to turn college programs around. The college world isn't ready for Nebraska and Wisconsin to be back. That's all I'm going to say.
Listen, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, those are going to be the teams in the Big Ten West. My thing about Wisconsin, and not really about them, but the quarterback, you got Tanner Mordecai, who is on his third team now. So this is his last chance to prove that he is anything and he can play football at the next level
at all. This is his last year of eligibility, by the way.
Yep, and this is his last chance to prove that he's a capable quarterback and can possibly go into the draft.
You want to know the best part about this regime? If Tanner Mordecai does not pan out, we got Nick Evers ready to go. We'll have him. And if Nick Evers doesn't pan out, we just wait a couple years, see what the 4-star can do. Like, this is probably the first every year since Wilson I have went into the season not worried about quarterback.
Yeah,
and I think that's a valid feeling because the last 2 seasons at SMU, Tanner Mordecai had 39 touchdowns, 12 picks, and then 33 touchdowns and 10 picks. Can the interceptions go down? Yes, but this dude, he is throwing a lot of touchdowns. This dude gets the ball in the air and towards the end zone every time. So I like Tanner Mordecai, man. I think he has a lot of upside, even though he is in his 6th season in his last year eligibility now. I do think he has a lot of upside for this Wisconsin team, especially with the running game. This is definitely the best running game Tanner Mordecai will ever have. So in his college life. So look, man, Wisconsin has some potential here offensively. I do have a little bit of questions about the receiving core. Definitely would like to see them prove something to me because y'all don't have Danny Davis, Jake Ferguson, obviously those guys anymore. So we'll see what happens.
This is probably the best receiving core we have had since Quintez Cephas. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Danny Davis fan. Like, he was my guy. I was going to buy his Packer jersey if he didn't get cut from the team. Like, no, I'm serious. I would have. I got a Vince Beagle Packer jersey signed. Like, that's how much I love it when the Packers pick up Badger players because they're my boys. But how they went out and brought in 2 receivers from Cincinnati that Fickle knows, how they went out and
Hmm.
got C.J. Williams from USC, who was supposed to, from what I was seeing, take the role that what's his name? Who's going into the draft?
Addison, Jordan
Addison.
Addison.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the next guy to step up for them. He transferred and left and came here. It's not like we're getting like, a 2-star receiver. No, we're getting a 4-star receiver who is from what I've been seeing, a good 50-50 ball. And that's going to help. And then you also got from Oklahoma State University and Bryson Gray. Like I said earlier, he put up better numbers than Danny Davis did receiving. So I'm not worried about the receiving core. I liked how they went out and got receivers for Mordecai and Evers, whoever finishes the year or start the year, depending on what happens with Mordecai.
Yeah, so we'll see, But I think definitely the driving engine will be the running back. And if y'all can listen, the running game this year is going to be good. But if y'all can get Mordecai's more play action situations, I think he could be even more
Beautiful.
successful than he was at SMU because we all know in order to have a successful play action offense, you have to establish the run. And Wisconsin already has the run game on
We
lock.
got it.
So
like.
I mean,
there's a lot of potential in this Wisconsin
Oh yeah,
team.
I
a
don't,
lot.
I don't really see, Illinois being a factor to them this year because they
No.
lost a
I
couple guys defensively.
I would say this: the years of Purdue, Illinois, and Northwestern winning the West are over.
Yeah,
Over.
with Wisconsin, like you said, Luke Fickle adding him was huge because I mean, you look at what he did at Cincinnati. You know, the guys that he got: Sauce Gardner, Kobe Bryant,
As much as we don't like him, Desmond Ritter, he took him to NFL, like
Ritter.
produced
Yeah,
him and made him
don't
a
got a
starting
problem with
QB. Like
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Ritter. I think he could have a good year with
I hope he
Atlanta.
does.
But like I said, Illinois, they lost guys defensively this year. Witherspoon, he's going to the draft.
Huge
City
loss.
draft. Offensively, they're losing Chase Brown. And then Purdue, Aiden O'Connell, I'm not a fan of him, but that's still your quarterback. I mean, I know they just added Hudson Card.
Dude,
But
Hudson Cards was a great pickup by Purdue.
and I think that's going to be a good factor, but you don't got nothing around him offensively because Charlie
Hmm.
Jones isn't there. Payne Durham is gone. Um,
Yep.
Iowa, Jack Campbell gone to the draft. No more Riley Moss. Minnesota, no more Muhammad Ibrahim next year.
No more
Um,
Tanner Morgan.
Morgan, yeah, and I'm not really a fan of Morgan.
I'm
He
not
sucks.
either. He sucks.
Northwestern isn't going to be a
Man,
obstacle for
No,
Wisconsin.
Northwestern might be like a 6-5-1 team this year.
Yeah.
Northwestern was a fluke that 2020 year.
Hey, bro, I was rooting for them against Ohio State. I
Oh,
can't
I
lie,
was
bro.
too. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted Ohio State's playoff chances to be done, but
Bro.
I
So yeah, I mean, I think Wisconsin. This is really their conference. I mean, not conference, but division.
like
Yeah,
we said earlier, it's between Wisconsin, Iowa, and Nebraska.
yeah,
Bringing
Hmm.
back the 3 powerhouses of the West, and
facts.
and this is huge for the Big Ten if you get that, because if you have them 3 doing good and you add USC, UCLA, that's going to help the West out so much more to actually compete with the East. Because
Mhm.
what has it been since 2019 when Taylor left? It's been the West sucks every
The
single year.
West always sucks, bro. It's always we all know the best teams in the Big Ten until further notice is always Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State. Right, those are always the best teams in the division in the conference. Those 4 teams are in the
Big
Big Ten
conference.
East.
Yeah. So if you can have these 3 teams go back to what they were, like dominance wise, and then you add USC with Lincoln Riley. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of his coaching, but man can produce some good teams here. And then you add UCLA, who is inconsistent but can be good, can be okay, like a Michigan State. That's going to help out the West so much and bring the balance that the Big Ten needs. Because over the years, it's been Big Ten East, Big Ten West, like 20 notches below it.
Yep.
Yeah, man. 100%. Now to get into my Auburn Tigers, it's only SEC team here. It's
Ooh.
it's a really, just trying to be competitive type of year. Like it's been the last couple of years. No, obviously, those days with Cam, we all wish we had back as Auburn fans. The ones that are out there. But like this transfer, group that we got, just the guys that we got is Brian Batty. He's pretty good running back from USF. I think the running backs this year, it's just pretty underrated. I mean, that's what we're known for at Auburn.
Yep. Running backs.
Running backs. So I mean, losing Tanks Bigsby, that sucks. But I think Jarquez Hunter is pretty good this year.
I love Hunter.
Yeah. He's gonna have a good year. And I think, taking that leap up to RB1, that's gonna, boost his confidence up a little bit. Adding a guy like Brian Batty adds some, competition to the room. And of course, defensively, we lost guys at linebacker. Owen, Pepe, Popo. I call it Pepe. Hey, his last name is weird to say, but hey, we got Austin Keys, Ole Miss linebacker, 3-star, Mario Tolan, linebacker 2 from LSU, Justin Rogers, defensive lineman, from Kentucky. Obviously, we lost guys on the D line too, with
Derek Brown,
Colby Wooden, the D tackle, and Derek Hall.
That's a Derek Brown, Derek Hall. I'm thinking about a couple years ago, bro.
Yeah,
Derek Hall.
Yeah, bro. Dylan Wade, we added him as a tackle, because we obviously need linemen to block these damn quarterbacks. Lawrence Johnson, D lineman from Purdue, Elijah McAllister, edge from Virginia. Yeah, so I mean, this transfer class, it wasn't the greatest, but it was just a couple guys that could come into the room, just do some things for us. Obviously, this is a new coaching staff. The Brian Harsin era is over. Thank the Lord, because that dude is trash. And we need to get trash out of here. And the Hugh Freeze era starts now. And it was weird this offseason in terms of just the quarterback position, because we went into this offseason. We were looking at quarterbacks to the transfer portal. We got one, and Spencer Sanders. I'm not really a big fan of him, but obviously he adds competition to the room. And he's better than what we have. But he comes in and then he decommits and goes to Ole Miss. And another thing is Lane Kiffin. So we've had a very interesting, offseason with Ole Miss, just because, obviously the whole situation with Spencer Sanders. But Lane Kiffin was supposed to come to Auburn as the head coach, and be the savior of Auburn. And he, went back to Ole Miss and took more money to go there. So yeah, bro, it's been really, really weird at Auburn just this offseason. Quarterbacks, I'm not really, excited. I mean, Robbie Ashford, I hope he does some things this year. I hope he's gotten better in the passing, department. I don't know, bro. It's just it hasn't been, fun for us these last couple of years. In terms of just quarterbacks. Obviously, we haven't had one as consistent, since Cam Newton. Everyone's gonna talk about Bo Nix. When Bo Nix was at Auburn, he was not the greatest quarterback. Obviously that comes down to just the guys around him. But he went to Oregon and did really, really well. But Robbie Ashford, 1,600 yards passing. That was like 103rd in the whole country. 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 50.3 QBR. And then we obviously got Zach Calzada. He played a couple games last year. 17 touchdowns, 2,185 yards, 9 interceptions. This was at Mississippi State, or not Mississippi State, Texas A&M. Always mix their colors up. 57.4 QBR. And TJ Finley, Mr. Inconsistent. Last year he played a couple games, 4 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 431 yards, 56 point QBR. He is Mr. Inconsistent. Like, this QB room is just so weird. And I can't wait to see how Hugh Freeze, what he could do with the QB room, because I'm intrigued to see what he could do with Robbie Ashford, because he obviously has the talent. It all just comes down to his passing. And I'm excited, but I got to see it on the field. And we got Jake Fromm's brother, Tyler Fromm, at tight end. I think this is, like you said, for you guys at Wisconsin, this is going to be one of the better wide receiving corps you've had in a while. I think this is going to be one of the better wide receiving corps we've actually had in a while, because obviously we are not known for wide receivers. If anyone in the chat or any of you here, could guess one wide receiver that went into the NFL draft and got selected high from Auburn, I'll give you $30.
Wait, $30? Hold up.
And the first round.
There is an Auburn receiver that went in the first round.
No.
There is none.
So you ain't getting.
You're Googling nothing.
Yeah, bro. There is no wide receiver that went into the draft in the first round. We've had later round guys, but even then, that's like, a couple small.
Oh, wait, no, that's round 4. Hold up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's nothing there, Hayden. You're Googling nothing, like MG said, bro.
Nope. I'm determined.
Can I be honest here?
What's good?
About this Auburn quarterback room?
What's good?
Trash, bro. I'm going to just be honest.
It's trash.
I mean, you ain't lying. You ain't lying.
Robbie Ashford is the best potential, and he's trash. Maybe Zach Calzada, but I don't know. I don't like him either. TJ Finley, where's my trash can at, bro? Where is it? I can't even find it because I can't find TJ Finley's football skills, bro. No, trash, bro. Yeah, all I see is trash.
I got one. You owe me $30. Chris Wood, 1984. Boom, $30.
My fingers crossed. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nope. You owe me $30. Manny owes me $30. Alrighty.
But Auburn's trash. Auburn's quarterback is not that good. But look, you got a new coach. I think for this year for Auburn, I think this is going to be. I think it's hard to say something like rebuild in college, but I think this is just a year where I think Auburn is just going to take a step back, and they're going to have to look at themselves in the mirror and just have to switch some things. So if this is like a 5 or 4 or 6 win season for Auburn, you can't really be mad at it. You're playing in a tough conference, and you're one of the lesser talented teams in the conference. When you have Alabama, who's still going to be obviously getting those top recruits, right? LSU, you got LSU that's still going to be good, right? Still going to be solid. Georgia, we all know Georgia every single year, even though they're going to.
I'm saying that now.
They're going. I mean, I don't think you can say that when they've been literally getting defensive recruitment classes like crazy, bro. Their defensive recruitment class last year was arguably better than the one that won them the national championship.
Oh, I
by
agree,
recruitment
but
class.
I'm just saying.
So their defense is still going to be there.
That's going to hold them back.
I mean, the offense has not been top 10 or top 5, and it doesn't matter. Georgia's still going to be there, and they're still better than Auburn, so it doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. They'll still be there.
Better than anything. Yeah, bro.
That's a talk for a different day.
It's
nothing. It does. So Auburn has all these teams: LSU, Alabama, Georgia. Ole Miss is also another team that I think is just going to be better than Auburn this year, right? So
underdog.
I just, I don't like this Auburn team, if I'm being honest. Compared to other teams, I think Auburn this year, I think they should let a lot of young guys get opportunities, see what they have as some of these freshmen and sophomores they have, see if they can, build off of that. But if TJ Finley is not going to be the quarterback, Robbie Asher is not going to be the quarterback, bro, then honestly, y'all should just start some type of freshman that you could find on the roster and just let him go. Because I don't like the quarterback room this year. You got Hunter. I actually like Jarquez Hunter. I actually really do. I think he was really good backing up Tank Bigsby and being that second guy in the offense. And I think he'll take a big step up this year. And I'll probably be like the a lone star in the Auburn offense. As far as the defense of Auburn, we'll see, right? Because we know Auburn's always known for their defensive front seven, right? Now you do have a new coaching staff, so that could change. Y'all can have a new identity in Auburn football. But we'll see, man. I just think Auburn. I think compared to other teams in their conference, they're not gonna have a great season, this season. So Auburn, this is just not the year, not the time.
Yeah, you 100% right. There's nothing, I mean, there's things to be excited about with the young guys, like you said, but just in terms of standings, like you said, Georgia's gonna be there, Bama. I mean, I think there's a couple teams like Ole Miss, like you said, and then Texas A&M. I could see them doing pretty good this year. Well, I know, Mike Leach is in there, and whatnot. RP to that man. But there's a couple teams. I mean, like Missouri. I don't know how they're gonna look. Yeah. And then
they're going to have teams on upset watch a lot, like they did Georgia last year.
Ole Miss.
That's Mizzou's job. Put teams on upset watch. Ultimately lose, but still get teams and fans panicking. That's Mizzou's
and then
job.
A team that I'm intrigued on this year, just offensively wise, is Arkansas with KJ Jefferson. I can't see how KJ Jefferson does this year. I think he's one of those underrated Heisman candidates. Not saying he's gonna win it. He's just a dark horse. But, we're gonna be competing. Maybe 6-7 wins, maybe 8. It's a new fresh start, and I can't wait to see what we do in some of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting for Auburn as well. But, Nas, you coordinated this next topic, so take it away.
So, as you know, the NFL draft is coming up. We're in April now, and April is the NFL draft. So, this is a good time to have a little fun conversation. Maybe we might spark the debate out of this, but just to see where our heads are at. So I'm going to give you guys 2 quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. You're going to tell me who's the better quarterback and why. So we got Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, and then we got Max Duggan from TCU. Who do you guys think is the better quarterback?
Hooker.
You want to start this one off, Hayden, or you want?
Hayden, you already said Hooker. Man.
All right. I'm picking Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker is the better quarterback. And obviously, I think, and this is no disrespect to Max Duggan. I think he's a good player. He did, everything he could, to lead that TCU team, obviously to the point where they national championship and they got spanked, and
Georgia was just on a different level this year.
It was bad. TCU definitely deserved to not be there. I don't know why there. I mean, it's just, the committee this year, they kind of messed up a lot. But, I think when it comes down to these two, you look at their numbers, and I'm not just a guy that always looks on numbers, but, you got a point to it in an argument. You look at Max Duggan's numbers. He had 3,698 yards, 32 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 78.2 QBR. Hendon Hooker, 3,135 yards, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 89.5 QBR. So QBR Hendon's better. Touchdown interception ratio 27-2, and I get it. You got 32 and 8 with Max, but would you want to take 27-2 or 32-8? And you can have the passing yards, but as an overall quarterback, I trust Hendon Hooker. Obviously, I think when it comes to athletic ability, you could argue that. I think with Max, people underrate his his running ability. He's an athletic quarterback, but Hendon Hooker, once he gets in open space, I think he could do his work. But when it comes down to just being a quarterback in the pocket, Hendon Hooker
Hendon's the best.
is a dog, bro. He's a amazing quarterback. And everyone looks at his age fatigue
It's
stat,
not
but
the age;
can't
it's
control.
more the injury as well.
And then the injury, yeah. But outside of that, you look at his arm talent, his deep ball, and then you look at his QBR, his efficiency throughout games, and the fact that he can have a 27-2 interception, touchdown to interception ratio in the SEC. I feel like
Impressive.
that's very impressive.
And having to face
Mhm.
Bama and Georgia like every year as well. Seems like.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna say he made Jalen Hyatt or anything, but or Cedric Tillman or anything like that. But like last year, he had Villas Jones, and he kind of got him a lot of good looks in terms of just where the ball was placed. And Hendon Hooker, he's been just this consistent quarterback at Tennessee, and people don't give him his love, and I will. He's a bona fide stud, and I think he's better than Max Duggan. And you could argue Max Duggan. I don't hate it, but I think the fact that, like I said, 27-2 touchdown ratio, in the SEC with the 89.5 QBR, I think that's impressive. And that's
Mhm.
exactly why I'm gonna take Hendon Hooker.
You want to know the stupidest thing I always find every single year?
What?
How people will have players drop 3 to 4 rounds. Not like true people who watch college NFL, but like these NFL casual who only cares about college when the time comes and they look at age and height when that really doesn't matter as much as other stuff. How they'll have them drop 3 to 4 rounds. Because that is what's happening to Hendon Hooker right here. And
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, I have both of these guys, for me personally, in my top 5 quarterbacks, like big board. Like they're
Mhm.
top 5 for me. I'm not a fan of Will Levis. Manny and Nas knows that. I have them both over Will Levis personally. Because, well, the thing that we're not talking about Levis, I know, I'm just going to make this quick. The thing that they both do better than Levis is ball control and not being able to turn it over. Levis has an arm, yes, but both of these guys can sling it too. And what people forget about Hendon Hooker, though, back to the Duggan versus Hooker thing, Hendon Hooker was in the Heisman conversation until he got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have a Heisman caliber quarterback sitting there who's going to miss at least half of the first year, his rookie year, and will be back for sure his second year. He'll be 26 when he plays that year. I looked. He'll be 26. I will gladly take a 26-year-old who I know can produce than take a risk on a guy like Will Levis who has more, who could pan out to be more of a bust.
Mm-hmm. And he outdueled Bryce Young
Bryce Young in that
and
Alabama. Don't get me wrong, Bryce Young's offense, that's sketchy. That game's another reason why Bryce Young is the number 1 QB in this class, in my opinion. Look at what he did. He had to duel Hendon Hooker with Jalen Hyatt and that receiving core, and he came up short, but almost won. He outdueled Texas with no offensive line, no receivers as well. So Bryce Young really impressed me though this year.
facts. I mean, with Hooker, it's like 5 touchdowns. I get it. Bama's defense wasn't the greatest this year, but 5 touchdowns, 380. I know he had that one costly pick, but still,
But they still won.
he rallied his boys to the victory in that game, and he gave
I
Tennessee a
remember
lot
that
of chances
pick.
to win football games this year.
Dude, when I saw that pick, I was like, I thought Bama was going to secure it. I was like, oh no, Bama's going to go down and secure it. It's Nick Saban, Bryce Young. They're going to go secure this game on this drive. And to the credit of Tennessee, they said, nah. And Hooker, too, in that game, after that, still not letting that interception phase him, drove down and gave him the go-ahead score.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like, I want to compliment Max Duggan as well, because it feels like we've just been all about Hooker. Don't get me wrong, I think Hooker is a better quarterback. Well, but what people fail to realize, Max Duggan took over, was it week 2 or 3 for TCU?
Week one of those weeks.
It was one of those weeks. He wasn't even the starter, and he came out and balled. And he, with the coaching and all that, helped carry TCU to the national championship. That is not an easy task.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He outdueled J.J. McCarthy in Michigan, which Michigan, yeah, we laugh at them and we make jokes about them all the time, but they're still a good football team. They're still a good football program. They have a great coach in John Harbaugh. Nope, Jim Harbaugh. Wait, which? They have a Harbaugh. That's all that I know. A great coach in one of the Harbaughs. I get them confused all the time. But, man, still balled out. People underappreciate his dual threat and his running ability as well. People forget how he can run and scramble. I think personally, Max Duggan is a better running quarterback, but don't underrate Hendon Hooker's scrambling and running ability. If you're going more long term, if I'm a franchise, I'll target Duggan. But if you want someone who can lead you and be good for years, I'll take Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because the biggest thing that's going to hurt Hooker is going to be age in that injury. I think it's going to be more the injury than age, though, but we'll see.
Now, when it comes in terms of, for me, who I think is the better quarterback, I think it's Hendon Hooker. I think Hendon Hooker is just, I think when you look at his overall quarterbacking skills, I mean, in the side of the pocket, he's just better than Max Duggan in multitude of ways. As far as the deep ball, the accuracy, the ball security, that's another thing that is very important in the quarterback, right? And I know not Max Duggan doesn't turn over the ball that much either, especially when he's throwing it. But Hendon Hooker, you look at 2021, 31 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and then 2022, 27 touchdowns and 2 picks. Dude has had 5 interceptions the last 2 years. He's had less interceptions in 2 seasons than Max Duggan did in 1. So that's something that you just have to put into effect. Also, Hendon Hooker, when you look at Velus Jones Jr., you look at Jalen Hyatt, before Hendon Hooker, we didn't really know who those guys were. Now, those Velus Jones got drafted by the Chicago Bears, right, in the second round, I believe, last year. And then Jalen Hyatt, he's projected to be a top first round, maybe second round pick, early second round pick. So when you look at Hendon Hooker, he's improved. He elevates his receivers. People talk about all-time great quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Making their receivers. Hendon Hooker is doing the same thing, just obviously at the college level, but he's making his wide receivers, right? He's throwing these guys open. So I like Hendon Hooker for that. Max Duggan definitely has the athletic traits. When you talk about scrambling outside the pocket, when you talk about a guy who can run in different packages like quarterback options and stuff. And obviously, health and youth is on his side. So we're talking in terms of, who might go higher in the draft. I think for a lot of reasons, you can say Max Duggan will be higher on people's draft board because of the age, because of the injury, right, and the athletic upside. But in terms of who's just a better quarterback, who's just a better, to me, it definitely has to be Hendon Hooker. I mean, this dude inside the pocket, he can just do it all. I think he can make a lot of throws that maybe not as good as Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, but he can make a lot of the same throws, especially from the pocket.
I'm a huge Hendon Hooker fan. I'm going to say that. I think I think he's going to go in the first round. But that leads me to my next question. Since we all agree it's going to be Hooker, right?
Yes.
Where do you think Hendon Hooker is going to go and Max Duggan? I'll start off with Manny.
I think Hendon Hooker is going to get drafted to the Minnesota Vikings. And I think Max.
Have to hate him? Really? I love Hooker. I don't want to have to hate him. I'll gladly hate him because I hate Ohio State and I hate the Bears, so it's a perfect thing. I don't want to hate Hendon, bro.
Yeah, bro. I think he fits that culture over there in Minnesota, and I think he'd be a good fit for them. And they can have him for like 10 to 12 years around there. I know he's an older quarterback, but still, that would be a good fit for him, I think. But I think Max Duggan, like, he's really interesting to see where he goes. Because I want to say the Raiders, but I also feel like the Raiders are going to take Will Levis in the first round. So he's just really like weird. Like I don't know. I want to say, I really want to say, I don't know. I think he's gonna go to Baltimore.
Ooh, like that.
I think Baltimore is a good landing spot for him. I know they got Todd Monken from Georgia, but I think Max could fit the style over there because Max
you got the scrambling ability there.
Max's running ability is very underrated, and obviously they're gonna lose Lamar. This is my thing. I don't know if Max is gonna start somewhere. I think he should get the opportunity to start.
I agree.
I don't think he'll be like, some everlasting, franchise quarterback. But I think with, just raw ability to run the football, get out the pocket, scramble, make plays, with his feet, and then just stay in the pocket and just rip one. I think he has a lot of talent, and wherever he goes, you're gonna get a good player. And a dude that is a very good competitor. So wherever he, lands, I think it'll be a good fit for him wherever he lands, especially like with Baltimore. I think that could be.
I think for either of these guys, like before I get into it, Dante, the mic itself showed up yesterday. I got the other two parts showing up tomorrow that I need for the new mic. Because Amazon said, "Oh, you can get this the same day." So I was like, "Okay, bet." Thinking like it was a whole thing because it didn't say only for one thing. When I placed the order, it came out to find out the mic was the only thing that got same day delivery. I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, bro.
But I still get it tomorrow, so I don't care. But yeah, this is going to be the last stream with this.
Another team that I think wouldn't be a bad spot for Max is the New Orleans Saints, just because, you got Derek Carr, and, if you're going to try to start somewhere, New Orleans wouldn't be a bad spot for you in the future because obviously Derek Carr is going to take the leaps right now, but, Carr is a good,
could be a different story.
And then in a couple years, like you said, it's just, you'll get your time, your opportunity. And, there's obviously guys there. They already set a, foundation with Chris Olave and a couple guys there. Like, I know they lost Davenport, but obviously you got Marshawn Lattimore on the defensive side. And Paulson Adebo, the cornerback. So I mean that wouldn't be a bad landing spot for Max Duggan. Just mentor leader with Derek Carr, and I think Derek Carr would definitely take him under his wing. But I think that's another spot for Max to go to.
Yeah, like for me, for Hendon, I actually have Baltimore taking Hendon. I think Baltimore is gonna do that because, like I said, you got the injury. So you sign, what's his name? Tyler Hudley, to the 1-year deal. Let him start this year as Hooker is healing and going through the recovery process. And then after that, you let Hendon Hooker take the reins. You give him it because I think he can be the franchise guy. It won't be as long as like what it is now with how QBs are coming out when they're 20, 21 compared to what it is like he's 26. But we saw what some QBs develop back in the day, and we've seen how long they can last. Like, and with QBs like can play longer going to the 40s now. I think like I don't see age as much as a factor as it once was.
Yeah.
And then Max Duggan, this is more tricky. I could see Dallas taking him in the second, third round because they're not 100% sold on Dak. So that interests me themselves because they're having interviews with these other players as well. Other quarterbacks, not Young and Stroud, but like Will Levis type players, Hendon Hooker, Max Duggan, they've been having interviews with. So I think he could go to Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, I would not be. I mean, I know they had an interview with him and whatnot, and I know they were at his birthday. obviously interviews like that shouldn't be a big deal and
We don't
whatnot.
know.
You all have it. But I would not be surprised if Jerry does that.
But we do know that Jerry does not fully have confidence in Dak.
Mm-hmm.
Like all last year, he was saying there's a QB battle between Dak and Cooper Rush. We've seen this offseason that they were interested in QB. We've seen Jerry's conversation saying about how we can't get Dak the support he needs and all that as well. Like, I feel like Jerry is losing faith in Dak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So for Max Duggan, I think that he's likely probably just scheme fit wise and with the situation, I think he's likely to go to Baltimore if I had to, really choose a team. I think he fits what they like to do. They wouldn't have to change too much of the offense because he can run some of those same packages. Obviously, it won't be to the same extent as Lamar, but I definitely think there's a lot of similarities in the way that they can run an offense. So I think you got Max Duggan going to Baltimore, John Harbaugh being able to have a guy who is young, a little bit younger, right? A guy who he can develop, and kind of build. If they indeed do end up trading Lamar Jackson, a guy who they do end up, rebuilding the Ravens around. And then for Hendon Hooker, I think the Saints is a great spot for him because when I look at the Saints, you got Derek Carr, right? And yes, you give him a contract, but that'll give him time to heal up on the injury. He'll learn behind a veteran. And even though Derek Carr did get a decent sized contract, I don't think he's going to be there throughout the duration of his full contract. So you give him a guy like Hendon Hooker to learn behind him. And then at the age of, I know it's going to be at the age of 26. I know he's going to be 26 years old by the time he's fully healthy. But hey, man, Derek Carr, right after a year and a half, maybe 2 seasons, you give Hendon Hooker the reins. And listen, I know, like I said, he's probably not going to play his first game until the age of 26. But listen, with the quarterback position, hey, if he's good for like a good 5-6 years, it's like a good, football, until he, that could, who knows what that could be, right? So I think the Saints, also another team who can draft Hendon Hooker is the Seahawks. I know they re-signed Geno, but Pete Carroll did say that they're interested in getting a young quarterback for the future because we all know Geno is in his late 30s. He had his first good season, or not late 30s, early 30s, and he had his first good season just now. So with Geno Smith, still being in his 30s, right, and a guy you might want for the future, I also had the Seahawks potentially getting Hendon Hooker.
You want to know what's interesting too? They've been interviewing a lot of quarterbacks. They interviewed Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, AR-15, and Will Levis so far that we know of because they posted selfies.
That's a good spot, MG. The Seahawks.
Seattle, yeah.
Yeah, culture fit wise, I feel like that would be a guy that would come in, just fit right in with the culture they have in Seattle. And then, I don't know, he just looks like a Seahawk, or I would not be surprised if he went there. It's a good guy for Geno to mentor because Hendon. You want to talk about play styles? I mean, Geno kind of plays a little bit like him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So this is a really, really good show.
Good start.
Good start. New beginnings. We talked about this yesterday. There's a lot more topics we have to go throughout this off season. As college football, comes back into gear. The spring games are coming up. I know Hayden's going to one of the spring games for Wisconsin.
Going to Badgers.
So yeah, man, just be in tune, have the noties on and whatnot. This was a great first show. Let us know what you guys think of this show, and how you guys felt about some of the topics we discussed. But outside of that, I don't know if you guys have anything else to say. Y'all got anything?
Yeah, man. Shout out to anyone who came in here today, watched, supported. Anyone that might watch the replay, hit the like button, all that good stuff, man. And yeah, man, hopefully, we have a lot of stuff we're going to bring this off season. Obviously, the NFL draft is coming up. We can talk a little bit about that. And obviously, after the draft, we can talk about more about, other teams, conferences and stuff. So we can have fun with this show, even if we can talk about old college, stuff, like all-time teams. We can do a lot of things. Man.
We
We can do
gotta
a lot of
talk
things.
about
So
that 2008 Florida team. That was a team that expanded my view of college football.
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
man. So make sure y'all be on the lookout, man. We got a lot of stuff we want to
Hilarious.
bring and we can bring to the show. So just keep watching, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir, man. Outside of that, it's great first show, like I said. But y'all have a good one and be sure to tune in next week.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
like my co-host here said, Manny Nods. Thank you guys for joining. Shout out to everyone in chat. I know I saw Dante, I saw Big Fridge. Shout out to you two as well. But guys, cheers to a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.